Discussion forward with Dr. Gurudatta G, Director and CEO at Estima Pharma Solutions. Gurudatta, thanks so much for joining in. Would you say that given the recent news flow and especially first the VAI and Oro as well as Sun Pharma's Halol facility and just yesterday them bagging the EIR, would you say that the worst for the sector is behind us and it's bottomed out?
Actually speaking, Sun Pharma was expected that this time there would not be any further audits and they would clear this audit by taking the necessary corrective and preventive actions, which they have taken, and accordingly they have cleared the EIR and they have received the EIR also. In the same way, like Lupin also is going to get another audit in order to get that warning letter lifted out. In this way, the pharma sector, particularly with respect to the US FDA, things are a lot of facilities are getting the EIRs and they are getting a lot of drug product approvals also, and it is in full swing now.
Right. So, just to take that point forward, like you just rightly mentioned, Sun getting the EIR for Halol, Divi's lifting import alert. Would you say that it's a changing time for Indian pharmaceutical right now? Because we spoke with Lupin recently and they're also saying that US pricing is also at its worst and things can only increase from here. So would you say that Indian pharmaceuticals at a time when US FDA is easing, there is still that overhang of US pricing, but things seem to be improving from here definitely?
Yes, technically speaking, all the pharma companies are improving their quality standards. Particularly if you see the last 1.5 years, you don't see any kind of data integrity issues coming into the US FDA 483 observations or even as a part of the warning letters also. Per se, you can see that data integrity as a system, most of the Indian pharma companies have implemented appropriately, and you might not get this kind of an observation or for a warning letter in any of these companies. However, we need to ensure that we should maintain the quality culture in the pharmaceutical organization so that each and every area is taken care about. With respect to the microbiological aspects, some of the injectable facilities are getting observations with respect to 483s, whereas if at all we put in appropriate systems in microbiology department also, we are not going to have that kind of a problem with respect to US FDA. Whatever so far happened in the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, we can say that US FDA has made our system very stringent by giving the 483 observations and the warning letters, and the major issues are sorted out with US FDA.
So, do you think that, even in terms of R&D investments, pharma companies can now build more momentum because, the regulatory overhang might be receding?
Yes, of course. A lot of companies are already working on the new product development, even NDAs or 505(b)(2) studies, all these things are going on, and now this is the time that many of the companies will focus more on R&D so that they can get more ANDAs approved or more NDAs approved.
And so, what would this mean in terms of a value opportunity for some of the pharma names? Is there value emerging then for investors, particularly to look at pharma in positive light?
Definitely, with respect to pharma, most of the companies who are working with US FDA, they will definitely grow further well. And this is the time, it is an investment opportunity for the investment companies with respect to pharma. If you see the last 2.5 years or 3 years, many investors, the mutual fund investors and other insurance investors, they are backing out of the Indian pharma companies because of the 483s as warning letters or import alerts. Now that issue is sorted out and people can start investing more with respect to pharma in India.
But what would be the pecking order? Because, you have generics, domestic generic majors like Cipla, who are primarily focused on the Indian market and of course emerging markets at large, and then you have companies like Lupin which are into new drug development. You have a Biocon which is going into a completely new stream where people believe that that's really the sunrise segment when it comes to drug development and biosimilars, which is challenging the whole concept of and the existence of patents. Where is it that you think one can see more traction for growth in all of the business models that exist?
Considering the success story of Biocon with respect to getting a biosimilars approvals, and which has come recently, and this is the time where the pharma companies or pharma sector can think of investing in the biosimilar products. And if you see compare our biosimilar activity with respect to South Korea, wherein the investment comes in a big amount with respect to from US to South Korea, and they are getting a lot of drug approvals with respect to biosimilars. Even China is working on biosimilars in a big way, and India has already stepped into the biosimilar sector. And this is the area where Indian pharma companies can focus the biosimilar activity and do a good investment over here.
Okay, Ms. Dr. Gurudatta, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining in with your take on how pharmaceuticals should be looked at. And you know, it would be a little meager to say that dark clouds have lifted. Seems like the sector is on steroids of late if you were to track the pricing action and, for that matter, the news flow, which only seems to be catching up. And also